Hey beautiful, welcome back to the Such a Woman podcast. I am your host, Dale Pasco, and over here we like to explore womanhood and femininity through the lens of faith. If it is your desire to become the woman of your dreams and to glorify God at the same time, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications to know when I post weekly. A part of being the woman who just flourishes is being ready to rise up to the occasion, to explore life and embrace new opportunities. When you are such a woman, you don't allow yourself to stay bound to anything or to anyone. And when your time is up, you know your time is up. And you're okay with saying, you know what, it's time for my next, without making excuses, without over calculating, without over explaining anything to anybody. You make the steps in order for you to live in this current place of now. I understand how it can be when you find yourself in that transitional space of the time is now. God has opened the door, but you're not really sure how to step into it, what it's going to require once you get in that door that you've been praying for, or how much it's going to cost for you to sit at that new seat that you have been promoted to. Have you given yourself permission to leave the things that you have been so comfortable with? Why is it that you know that you're no longer in that old place, but you're forcing yourself to stay in this middle place of transition? Things become extremely uncomfortable when we camp out in that place of transition over the time that God says that we've been graced and allotted to be there. You either go to the place that you know you need to be in, or you make the sad decision to go back to what was. And I want to encourage you not to go back to what was, because you are equipped for this new place. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's different. I know it requires more. I know the people may look different. I know the conversations may be new. I know it requires a different language, a more eloquent language. But if you weren't supposed to be there, God would not have opened the door for you to be there. And we can be our biggest sabotagers when we allow the unknown to blind us to what God has already said. Stop thinking that you have to show up perfect. Perfectionism is probably one of the greatest thieves to advancement, because you sit and you wait so long for everything to be pieced together. And if it doesn't look the way that you imagined it in your head, you will not allow yourself to walk into the next, not realizing that when you walk into that room, then you get more pieces. Then your confidence grows more. Then your mind unlocks. Then the relationships are built. And sometimes we don't go into rooms because we feel like we don't have the right relationships. And God's like, if you step into the room, I promise you, you'll meet the person. If you step into the room, I promise you, you'll walk out with your head even higher. I promise you will get a tool that you did not show up with. But because you keep sitting in the transitional space, I can't get it to you. And so you have to find the courage to say, God, I'm willing to walk through that door. Like, how many times have you prayed for an opportunity, seen that God provided an open door and you didn't go in because you told yourself you weren't ready, or because you allowed somebody else to get in your ear? The voices that we authorize in our lives are so important, because those voices are either going to encourage us to step in, or they're going to be used as hooks in your back, telling you that you don't need to go. It's so crazy, because we were on our Jumpstart call this morning, and one thing that continued to come up was negative voices and negative words that people who have been close to us would speak into our lives, and how those words shaped our reality. So much so, it became like these subconscious thoughts we didn't even realize we were battling. They became the hooks that were digging in our backs and keeping us from freely running into our next. Start paying attention to the thoughts that arise when you're at that door. What's being said? Girl, you do not qualify to walk up in here. Well, if you step in here, everybody's going to think you're extra bougie and you think you're better than everybody. If you decide to, connect with those people, everybody else is going to feel like you left everyone in your city behind. You know what? If you change your mind and you change the way you dress, you change the way you show up, and you actually look like you care about yourself, everybody else is going to feel like you just think that you arrived. You decided to buy your brand new house and deck it out the way you wanted to. Now everybody's going to feel feel like you think you're too good for the hood. Listen, good. People will project their insecurities on you because they didn't do it. And they'll say things like, oh yeah, she thinks she's all that. She thinks she's too good for X, Y, and Z. Or this one, you think you're better than me. But let me tell you something. I remember God telling me, no, you are not better than them. However, you thinking that you're too good for a situation is definitely true because you are too good. If you knew that I created a palace for you, why would you continue to stay in a pit? You are too good to live in a pit. The Bible says that God created us, and when he created us, he looked at us and said that we are good. Being someone who was created in the image of goodness, why would you continue to intentionally keep yourself in a place that you know is not good for you, a place that is damaging to you? So even then, changing your mindset, changing the words that you say, changing your responses to people who come with those sly words and say, you think you're too good to be here? Yes, I do. Definitely do. Because God created me for better. God created me to live an abundant life. He did not create me to be mediocre. You have to know what an abundant life looks like for you. To everyone, it's not exactly the same, and that's perfectly okay. Some people are perfectly fine living in a double wide trailer, decked out, cute in the middle of the country, and to them, that is abundance and prosperity. And because they get to walk around to the different areas and minister to people or to help people, to them, that is an abundant life. And that's fine according to their portion on their life. But to you, you may be someone who wants to live in a high rise and you want to host high class events in order for people to come to know just how valuable they are. And because that's how God designed you, then that is your portion that you're supposed to live out. But as long as the people from your community say, well, everybody else is around here living in double wide trailers and you should be comfortable in a double wide trailer because that's what you're used to, it's not fair to you. It's not fair to you to say, you know what, I am going to deny myself of what I know God wants for me, or how he wants me to operate, or the rooms he wants me to step in because everybody else says that this should be my norm. Have you even given yourself permission to think about what your norm really looks like? When you see certain things, what are you drawn to? Who are you drawn to? What spaces do you genuinely want to be in? And I'm not talking about the things that we want to be a part of for vain reasons, but the things that you know that you're genuinely drawn to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And because of how you have been designed and your makeup, that is how you know the places that God is calling you to. But even when the spaces God is calling you to look a little different from what you are used to being, are you okay with showing up, knowing that you have been sent? When you know God has sent you to a place, there's no point of trying to fight it because it just creates more turmoil in your life. It creates a climate in your life where things are just hard for no reason, especially when you know he's opened the door, especially when you know that you're ready and you're prepared. Stop listening to those sabotaging voices, whether it be your own, another person's voice, or the enemy's voice, a parent's voice, a sister, a friend, whoever. Stop listening to those sabotaging voices. There are times where you have to politely or sometimes disrespectfully say, listen, I can't listen to that anymore because I have to go into the next. Not everything requires an explanation. There are times you simply have to step out and make moves and stand on your decision without telling anybody what's going on, because you know that giving them these little pieces is going to prolong your movement, your maturation, your promotion. There are promotions that the Lord has been passing out that it's possible you have been missing because you keep disqualifying yourself, even though you know you are qualified. If you know you're qualified, then live in that qualification and stop feeling like you have to prove yourself to everyone else. You have nothing to prove to anyone. We owe no man nothing but love. And guess what? Sometimes that love is saying, I'm going to be the first to do it so that y'all can follow that path. Is it possible that you're the trailblazer of your family, of your friend group? Are you the one that God sent to set that field ablaze so people can see the light of where to go. But as long as you're standing in that cross section, that intersection, everybody's like, dang, we have no idea how to get out of here. They're not even thinking about leaving. Imagine being someone that's supposed to leave a city because everybody else is so used to staying in that city their whole life. You're supposed to be the one to leave that city to set the stage for other people. Because you left, they're like, I could leave. I didn't even see myself going anywhere else. My whole family, every generation before me has been living in this small town. But because you left, because you documented it, because you were not afraid to say, look at how the Lord has blessed me, they're like, I want to be blessed like that. I want to live in that blessing. What if the Lord has opened a door for you to get your degree and you won't go to school because you don't want people to think that you're too smart or that you're trying to be better than everybody else because they never got a degree? But the truth is, they've never seen anybody successfully complete school. But when you complete school, they're like, I know I can do it now. What if the Lord is saying, hey, I want to introduce you to this way of living. I want to take you to these restaurants and you to live in this type of house and you to drive this type of car, for you to be able to reach the hearts of people who may never look at somebody with the hoopty. And because you say, I don't know. I don't see myself living there. I don't know how to even become that person. God's like, you're them. So start looking for the house. And when you leave and when you get that house and when you get your vehicle and when you change your environment, now other people looking on will be like, I can leave. You know the power of taking children to visit homes or to visit other cities or to travel is that it expands their view. It expands their sphere of influence. I remember being younger and living in Alabama. I grew up in a military family, and my father and mother took us to look at homes in Alabama. Beautiful homes, top of the line for that time. And I remember my heart just constantly looking forward to looking at different homes and one day owning my own home. I knew how I wanted my home to look. I knew how many bedrooms I wanted to have. And thankfully, God blessed me with exactly what I desired in my first home with my husband and our daughter. Because my parents exposed me to something other than what we were used to, something other than military housing, something other than apartment living, I knew that there was something greater out there that I could work towards achieving. And so even looking back at your childhood, what were you exposed to that expanded your mind beyond where you were, that you have ignored and told yourself, it was just a field trip. It was just a thought. It was just an idea. It's just something we did. No, it wasn't. You went on that field trip because God wanted you to be exposed to different and new. And he wanted you to emanate something similar in your life. I was thinking about something I wanted to achieve and accomplish for other people today. And just now having this conversation with you is like, hey, when I was younger, living in Alabama again, I remember we went on a field trip to a jail. Now, I don't know if they took us to that jail because they were telling us what not to do or just showing us the system. I don't know the purpose. But in this time, I know that there's a purpose for me to go and speak to women in the jails, right, that are locked up, and thinking about that now, I was like, God, I know why you took me there, because it put something in my heart for those ladies to say, I don't want to be like this, but I don't want other people to stay locked up in their minds in that place either. And so you have a place to step into. You have been assigned to a new space, and it's your job to rise up to the occasion. It's your job to walk into that room. Why would you not walk into the room with all the work you've done, with your new mindset, with your new fashion and your style, with your new heart, with your new compassion, with your new dose of love? Why would you not allow somebody to experience you in that room? Why would you not move into that next phase of your life so that other people can encounter a part of God that only you carry? Why would you not walk into that room for other people to be exposed to a different way of thinking, a new mindset? You are that new for somebody else. And when you walk into that room, know that somebody else will be that new to you. But you'll never figure out who they are or that new piece of who you are if you don't rise up to the occasion and take advantage of this opportunity. So I really do hope and pray that this video was not only encouraging to you, but the flame you needed to hop off that seat and hit the ground running, because there's something great that God has in store for you. If you haven't done so already, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, share this video with a friend, and remember, you are her in real life.